Hey there, you sweet cats and kittens. Welcome to day 16 of Tales from the Quarantine. This is going to be another cooking episode, so if you liked that, great. If you didn't, well, tough. So I have decided tonight I will be making my own tacos. I've got some chuleta de bistec here, which is basically just a fancy way of saying I've got some steak. Some nice cuts, well suited for making tacos. So that's what I'll be doing tonight for Tales from the Quarantine Day 16. Just cutting them up right now. Last few days have not been that great, and so I was kind of determined to turn things around today. I got back on the horse with my online course because I had kind of not necessarily let that go. I just hadn't I hadn't tuned in in a while. Woof. So I made some more significant progress in that. So I've only got basically a quarter of it left to go, which shouldn't be that hard, which will be nice. I found, it's not the same thing. Like, it's not something that would give me a certificate, for example. But I found this interesting thing. I guess the best way to describe it is kind of like an intro to world. I don't really know how to describe it. It's basically a seminar on world politics. It's done in modules. It's sort of structured like a course, but it doesn't give you a certification, which is fine. It's fine. Not ideal, but it's fine. So now that I've done this online tutoring certification course, my mind sort of goes to what other certifications that I could get that would be worthwhile. Because, I've got this, Tales from the Quarantine, and then I have sort of two two sort of planned projects. Well, I still need to figure out what's going to go on with my online job, and really I should have done that today, but I didn't. So I was gonna give it another try today, but I didn't. So hopefully, sometime soon I'll be able to get that together. So I've got Tales from the Quarantine. I've got this sort of new potential project that could be coming up, which has to do with biking, which actually sort of the idea preceded the quarantine. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I don't want to tell you about it because then that thing will happen where you'll have a goal, and you tell someone about that goal, and then after you tell them the goal, you get most of the satisfaction that you get from actually doing the goal, and then you don't actually end up doing the goal. So, I'm not going to tell you guys about it. Hopefully it'll be coming pretty soon, because it's something that I'm pretty excited about. I just sort of got to muster the will to do it, is basically the situation. I guess right now, my eyes are sort of on the future. I have some ideas of things that I'd like to do. I'm interested, I certainly, by no means do I think that this thing is past. But, so at least in my, what I consider to be my home state of North Carolina, things seem to be getting more under control than they were before, which is good. It seems like that we've turned a corner of some kind. That's again not saying that it's under control. Not saying that this is past us, but it's encouraging to know that there is positive news rather than negative news to report. Again, at least in my home state of North Carolina. As for Mexico, not very clear. So I watch the government does a daily press briefing, and I watch some of them, but they're really boring. Regardless of what the actual state on the ground is here, regardless of what the situation is outside, I'm stuck in here and will be until April 30th. So I can't see any particular benefit to having that information. Although one thing that I have learned, I sort of swore off, sort of obsessive news following like I usually do, fairly early on in the quarantine. But I mean, I've come across some people who are just quite frankly real dumbasses, and are sort of characterizing everything that's going on in very like casual terms. I hate to call out a particular person, but this particular person has been using lines such as, let's just all go back to work, it'll burn through and we'll be back to normal in 2 weeks. That is sort of clearly not the case, in basically anyone's estimation. So I don't really know where he's coming from there. But, that's all to say that, I mean, there is value, I think, in having that information, and that is when, sorry, gotta move this stuff to the pan here. There is value in having that information, and that value is sort of combating, I don't want to call it fake news, because, I mean, obviously that's a pretty loaded term, but combating people who have who are misguided about the situation, especially those who are, dangerously misguided, because there is such a thing as dangerously misguided when you're talking about a global health pandemic. So yeah, I mean, all this to say that, I mean, I have been not consuming the news at a rate at which I usually do, which I think has been good for my mental health throughout all of this. But, there is still definitely some coverage that I'm following, and I think still definitely some use for, following the news. Even if it's not for you, maybe it's for someone else. Anywho. Yeah, so that's where my mind is today. Feel a little bit better after a rough few days. I took my own advice, and I've decided that I am not going to drink for the next 5 days, so until Friday night. Again, I don't feel like my use of alcohol in the previous days has been problematic, but I do think that it was approaching problematic. And so I would rather just sort of get ahead of that and nip it in the bud, while I still have the level of control that I have. So yeah, keep you updated on that as well. That would certainly help me. So yeah, that's where my thought is. Got some tacos on the way here, which I'm very excited for. Boy, that is a really dirty glass. Yeah, got some tacos on the way here that I'm excited for. Gonna have to start ripping up some Oaxaca cheese so I can put it on there. Don't have any lime though. Really sucks. But oh well. Anyway, yeah, so that's day 16. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 17.